Las Vegas Raiders up next. As I mentioned, I think Geno Smith just really raises the floor of this team quite a bit. Even with there's still some roster holes. There's still some questions that need answering here for the Raiders. They're over under 7.5 here. Cynthia has them going slightly under at 7.4. This feels like the team that could just take a massive leap here, though, with Pete Carroll coming in, with Geno Smith coming in, and some of the talent that they have added. And, just getting healthy Max Crosby, healthy Christian Wilkins. Those are the types of things I think could help the Raiders quite a bit here.
Yeah, but particularly on offense, like I would be excited by what this offense can do. Geno Smith, obviously a quarterback, completely transforms them. And look, we've been pretty open about, like, Geno Smith is a flawed quarterback. He is actively bad in the red zone. I mean, he struggles in the red zone relative to the rest of the league, relative to the rest of his play. Even factoring that in, Geno Smith is a good quarterback, and a good quarterback that completely changes what they've had with Aiden O'Connell and, Gardner Minshew. Like, he propels them in a completely new direction. Added to that, you already have Brock Bowers from a year ago. This offseason, you added Ashton Genty, who's one of the best running back prospects in the last decade plus. You added Jack Besh, a receiver, as well. Like, you've got some weaponry for Geno Smith to work with as well. The offensive line, I think, is pretty good. We'll see just how good DJ Glaze at right tackle will be an important player for them, because they kind of elected to say, no, we're happy with him. We're going to give him the shot to play at that level and show that he can be the guy. If they're right about that, 4/5, maybe even all 5 players on the line are average to above average, and that's all you need, right? So this offense could be very good, particularly with Pete Carroll, wanting to run the ball, wanting to kind of limit the asks of a quarterback and not stress him too much. I think the defense may lag behind significantly, but I would prefer it that way, right? For a team moving in the right direction, give me the team that can go toe-to-toe with anybody on offense and hope the defense can play above its skis for a few games. Like, I think that's how you're going to win more than 7.5 games.
It's too early to say this, but remember my run with the Titans when they had A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry, and I just said the dudes just take over. Could be a version of that with Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. I mean, that is, positional value aside, that is part of the fun of the Raiders. We're talking about Bowers, who looked like the best tight end prospect in quite a while and played like it. Ashton Genty, who we're talking about, the best running back prospect. Is it only in 2 years since Bijan Robinson or since Saquon Barkley or since whatever? One of the best running back prospects of the last 10 to 20 years in Ashton Genty. That's fun, man. That's fun having those guys on the same offense, even if the receiving core, I like Jacoby Myers. I like bringing in Jack Besh. The receiving core still probably has some work to do, even though those guys are solid. But, man, having Bowers and Genty and at least having a quarterback that can be consistent and move the ball around. So I think this one, look, I think it's a tough schedule for the West teams here in the AFC West, with having to play the NFC East. The NFC East with an ascending Commanders team, of course, the Super Bowl champion Eagles. I think the Giants will be a little bit tougher this year, and of course the Cowboys. So I think the schedule's tough here. But man, 7.5 feels like the Raiders could sneak over this with the floor being raised there.
Yeah, and it's not that tough if you look at it in terms of Vegas forecasted win totals. It's not easy, but it's like middle of the pack. It's not, detrimental necessarily to them. The Chiefs is the most difficult of the division, but even they are not like way out above anybody else. The chat pointed out, Steve in Italy said that the Raiders, according to Warren Sharp's analysis, where he does the rest disparity stuff, they're one of the sort of most disadvantaged teams, and since he's been tracking this in terms of rest disadvantage versus opponents. The thing is, though, right now there doesn't appear to be a lot of evidence that matters. On a week-to-week basis, there just isn't the disadvantage in terms of rest that people thought there might be. I forget who it was. Was it ESPN or NFL? Brian Burke? I forget who ran the study, but the rest disadvantage thing does not appear to matter in a huge amount at all. And in fact, it's actually been kind of removed from the Vegas point spreads for everything except, I think, Monday Night Football for some reason still factors it in, but every other line doesn't even give it credence anymore. So the Raiders are getting screwed by the schedule in terms of rest relative to their opponents, but there's no evidence that actually makes a difference at the moment.
Yeah, I think the bigger challenge is just going to be the schedule. They're going to be playing a last place schedule relative to their peers, but like I said, playing the NFC East, I think will be a challenge. They do have the AFC South as a group as well, but they're not as bad as they were. They could be on the ascent as well with the Jags, healthy Jags team. The Texans look like another top team. Maybe the Titans and Colts as a tough out. So yeah, I think the schedule, if anything. But man, I'll take over on the 7.5 here for the Raiders. I'm suddenly optimistic about at least the short term prospects of the Raiders. I don't know what ends up happening long term, but I think they're far more competitive now, and I think that makes things interesting in this division.
Yeah, I'll go over as well. I think this team can at least win 8 games.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.